I get it. It's a Humpty Dumpty reference.
Yes.
Wonder Woman. What do you think, man? You think she'd ever go for a younger guy?
1,000 years old, Barry. Every guy's a younger guy.
So you're saying there's a chance?
So you're telling me there's a chance? Yeah!
I was really hoping that like they'd open the coffin and like nobody was in there.
Oh yeah.
Because it's kind of weird to me, like, that they're Frankensteining Superman.
Yeah.
Because it also doesn't make Batman vs. Superman make sense at all to me. But we'll talk about that in the review video.
I'm always stressed.
Yeah, he is. He's always naked. Is that what he means?
I don't know.
Because, like, I'm always dressed. Takes clothes off. Alright, Cyborg, I see ya.
Clear this place up. Done.
This makes a lot more sense, too. In the original one, they didn't have, like, any explanation for, like, why the place was empty. It's like, they just go in there and it's empty. You're like, okay.
Yeah.
Are they just, like, casually standing there?
Yep.
Nice.
I was mistaken. The alarm's legit. Everybody out, and nobody, I repeat, nobody comes back inside.
He's just like, wow. He's standing amongst all these amazing people, and like his son's one of them.
Yeah.
Aww. Aww. Taking a selfie? They make her look kind of rough, too.
Mm-hmm.
Amy Adams like, that was like my best day on set. No.
Yeah.
I don't like to break this rule, but when I approach the speed of light, crazy things happen at a time, but if I do it, I create massive electrical
The Speed
power.
Force?
To backtrack, if I can get enough distance, I can conduct a significant electrical current, and then be able to wake the boss.
So he can actually travel so fast he can go into different realities.
Let's do it.
Oh.
And travel through time and stuff.
Yeah.
Oh wow.
We need to abort now. Just do it. 3.
Just do it!
Do it.
Whoa. Wait, what just happened there? Oh! Oh, we're on Apocalypse now. That's the name of his planet. Oh.
What the hell was happening?
Wait, what? What? Your reaction. What just happened?
I'm so confused.
Whoa. Is this all stuff that Cyborg's seeing?
Either that or because Barry was running so fast.
Oh my gosh. Oh, there's his Omega beams. Yeah. Darkseid can like control like the angle of his stuff. Oh. Oh, this is kind of like in Avengers Age of Ultron. Whenever like they saw all the Avengers dead, you know?
Insane.
Hey, it's Superman. Oh. Oh, is that Batman dead in his arms? That's like a classic shot from the comics. That's not gonna be how this movie ends, is it? Oh, Green Lantern, did you see that?
No.
Yeah. Batman's cowl.
Go!
He said no, right? I don't think he said go. I think he said no, didn't he? Yeah. I should have recognized this was a Zack Snyder thing. Oh! I like that. That's cool. They didn't include that in the other one. They didn't include it, like, reversing upwards. That's interesting. That's cool. Oh no.
So you don't know what happens on this part, right?
Mm-mm.
Oh boy. She's like, that's my boy. Oh man, what a man. Heck yeah.
Come on.
Look at that. Just look at that man. That's Superman right there. Oh gosh. That's in your cap. Look at that chest hair. That's how you know he's from Kansas. I like how Batman's not there yet. He's like just running up behind.
Arthur, what did you stranger?
Good luck. See, this makes this even better since they've set up that these people are so powerful. Oh, here we go, here we go, here we go. Here we go. Yes. Let's go. It's my favorite scene. I love that. That was the other one. So good. You know how scary that would be?
Yeah.
This is like clobbering.
It's kind of cool because
Nobody else could see this happening.
yeah, and it's like a fair fight for him, you know, because he's like same speed.
Yeah. Batman's finally like, he's like, he's
Hey,
just like
guys.
walking through. He knows he can't do anything. He's just like, hey, you alright? Please don't make me do this. You're not gonna be able to do anything,
I know,
woman. Boom. He's like, don't do that to me. Boom!
Oh my god.
Man. See, this is so much better because they've established, like, who these people are.
Clark, no.
Oh, that works out. Forgot about that. But how do you put those on? Aww. He didn't know who he was until he was with her. There's a good metaphor there. I like that. And they're like, well, crud. That's the guy we needed.
Yeah.
Oh well.
That would be pretty scary.
Yeah.
Oh gosh. The fact that he's not peeing himself right now. Oh, is he gonna try to destroy it? Yeah. Ooh! Ouch. I think his dad just got annihilated and for no reason too.
It's almost like a vision.
Yeah, that's true, yeah. Dang.
There's like teleports?
Yeah. It's like it's called like a boom tube.
His time is superheated. And if you make the core the hottest thing on Earth outside of a nuclear reactor, anything that knocks would have to link off the charts on a thermal imaging system. Your father sacrificed himself to mark that box. We have to get back to that lab and use the satellite to scan the Earth for thermal.
Oh.
I'm already on it.
I'm sorry, you have a satellite?
I have 6.
That makes
Son of a bitch.
see, that makes sense too. They're explaining how they're gonna find it. Zack Snyder's Justice League, Part 5, All the King's Horses. What did you think about it?
It was great, actually. I really liked that episode a lot.
Yeah, big
I
fan?
mean, I say episodes, same movie, but it feels like a show, episodes of a show.
We've been spreading it out over, like, literally, we've been watching these. I've been uploading these videos as we've been watching them, and so literally we've been watching it, like, a week apart. So
Yeah.
it feels a lot more like a TV show.
I mean, the parts are about the same length as a show
Yeah.
episode.
Yeah. So is there anything that stuck out to you in this episode before we actually start getting to the breakdown?
Stuck out just in general, or like...
Yeah, just anything that you liked that, I don't know. Just wanted to mention.
I mean, it was all good. I thought one thing that stuck out to me that was pretty cool was the we didn't mention on here, but the little vision that Cyborg had.
Yes, yeah. We'll definitely talk about that because that's pretty crazy, right? It's got some crazy stuff. Okay, so we'll definitely address that. I really like this part. I actually, we're gonna try to make sure that this isn't too long of a video, but there's a lot to talk about in this one.
There is.
Because this is probably my favorite section, possibly of the whole movie, but maybe the next one's my favorite. I don't know. We'll see, because the next one's basically the last one. We got one more, and then there's the epilogue at the end. Which,
really? It's just one more than
the there's one more than the epilogue. And so you kind of know where this is heading because it's the big climax in the part 6. But yeah, so we'll get to see that. And we'll probably do 2 separate videos for the part 6 and the epilogue. We'll do them separate. But yeah, so I really like this one. And let's just kind of walk through what happens. It starts off with them digging up Superman. And I just wanted to mention that because this is something where going into Zack Snyder's Justice League, I was expecting them to possibly do things differently. Yeah. Mainly because I'm still really thrown through a loop of why they had that ending shot in Batman vs. Superman, which I talked to you about, but you haven't seen Batman vs. Superman. But literally the closing shot of Batman vs. Superman, it's a shot of Superman's casket, and where they drop dirt on it, and then the dirt begins to levitate. And that just confused me because that gave off, it made it seem like maybe Superman wasn't totally dead. He was just mostly dead. Yeah. But in this one, they do the same exact thing. So I guess it seems like maybe between Batman vs. Superman and Justice League, they kind of changed their approach to stuff, and they just were like, let's just ignore that. But it was a pretty noticeable thing because that was literally the final shot of the last movie. Yeah. And so it was weird to me. It's like, okay, no, he's actually dead. Even though I did notice it in this watch through, whenever they were entering into the Kryptonian ship, all the suits open up, and Barry, the Flash, he comments, he says, "Ooh, it's like it's aware that he's here." So it could be argued that maybe he wasn't entirely dead, like there was still something from him that was, I don't know, this might be like, fanboy justifications where I'm just trying to justify it, but that was still weird. So if you're watching this and you have an explanation for me, please let us know in the comments, because I really am not entirely sure why the ground levitated there, like the gravel or whatever. But yeah, that just kind of confused me. So I wanted to mention they still dig Superman up here. Also feels kind of morbid, because they're just
irreverent almost.
Yeah, a little bit. I don't know. Yeah, I didn't really care for it too much. But that being said, that's fine. We move along. The rest of it's really good. We do get a fun little joke from the Flash there, where he's like, "So Wonder Woman, you think she'll go for a younger guy?" And Cyborg's like, "She's 5,000 years old, dude. Everybody's younger than her." And it's like, so you're saying there's a chance? Nice. Which I guess I didn't realize that she was that old. I knew she was old, but dang, she real old.
5,000.
That's kind of creepy whenever you realize that she was into this other dude. Like you haven't seen the Wonder Woman movie either, huh? Yeah. She was into this guy named Steve Trevor. And it's like, whoa, I mean, he's like, what, in his 30s? You're 5,000. It's kind of like, age range a little off there. It's kind of messed up. I don't know.
She was there when the pyramids were built.
Yeah, it's crazy, but I don't know. But yeah, so they dig up Superman, and then finally really the whole climax of this entire episode, part, whatever you're going to call it, it takes place at the Kryptonian ship. And while they were digging up Superman, you get the conversation between Batman and Alfred, where they're talking about stuff, and Alfred's like, "Hey, are you sure you should be going about this? Because are you sure this isn't just your guilt over being kind of responsible for Superman's death that's making you do this?" Mm-hmm. And Batman, we get a little quote there where he says, I wrote it down. Yeah. He says, "Alfred, this time I'm operating strictly on faith, not on reason." And I think that's going to play into my theological analysis at the end of this video. But during this conversation, you actually have Alfred being all the king's horses, all the king's men. Like he makes a Humpty Dumpty reference. Yeah. Basically talking about, are you sure you can actually put Superman back together again? And so that's why this is called All the King's Horses, because these are, all the Justice League coming together to put Superman back together. And what we're going to realize is that, no, they cannot do it. They could not put him back together. It actually took one person, Lois Lane, who could actually do that. But yeah, so it basically builds up this whole thing at the Kryptonian ship. And what'd you think about this whole setup that they had with, going there and resurrecting Superman?
What do you mean, as in, like, the whole setup with it?
I don't know. Just like, what'd you think about the plot and stuff? I mean, it's very similar to the thing in Justice League. I'm just trying to get your opinions on it.
It was pretty similar. I still thought it was a bit odd. I don't really know what the whole point was with the goop.
Okay, yes. So that's actually a good thing to explain because that's something that it's kind of explained in Batman versus Superman, not entirely.
Yeah, I mean, like without actually knowing anything, it almost just seems like it's like, you know, like a defibrillator or something. Like
in many ways, I guess it kind of is. It's like a regeneration chamber, because Lex Luthor actually uses that goop to create Doomsday in Batman vs Superman, and Doomsday is the creature that kills Superman.
Yeah, I remember something about
yes.
Lex Luthor in that goop pool.
Yes.
Was that the introduction?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was in the opening of this movie. But yeah, and they're basically heading there because they're going to resurrect Superman. And I like this one scene. Really, I guess it's the first time we actually get to see the whole team together, like in their suits. Because, you know, Cyborg, he kind of infiltrates the whole thing and makes everybody leave. He sets off all the alarms. And Cyborg's dad's in there, and he's like trying to, like, you know, call. He's trying to figure out what's going on. He realizes that somebody hacked into the system, and he's calling them to be like, "Hey, somebody hacked in. Everything's fine." But then whenever he turns, you know, he sees the whole team standing there, and Cyborg is at the very front. And it's a very brief moment, but it was a really cool one because the way that they've set this up, you can see that they've given a lot more layers of depth to Cyborg and his relationship with his dad.
Their whole dynamic, yeah.
Yeah. And so whenever his dad sees him there, he just immediately is like, you know what, never mind, I was mistaken, keep everybody out unless I say something different. Because they just share this glance, and you can see that he's proud of his son. And it's almost like he's relieved. Because this whole time he's been thinking, man, did I ruin my son's life by giving him this thing? Because that's how Victor had kind of been treating him. Victor almost wished he was dead.
Yeah, turn him into a monster, he said.
Yeah, he didn't like that. Yeah, I forgot. He literally said, like, monster. So he felt like Frankenstein's monster, essentially. This whole time, he's been basically just holed up in his apartment, just doing nothing, isolated from life.
Brooding.
Yeah, just brooding and being edgy. But now his dad turns to him, and he's standing, like, you know, with these gods among men. He's standing at the front of them. And finally, it's like he's found his place. And so him and his dad just share this glance. And it's just like this, I don't know, like, you can see, like, the look on the dad's face. He's like, finally, like, I knew that you were able to do this. Because remember, his dad had left, like, this voice recording saying, like, what he could accomplish.
Yeah.
And so it's like Victor has taken that place up there, and they get this glance, and, like, Victor even, like, nods at him, and he's like, yeah, I found where I belong.
He's the heart of the movie.
Yeah, you're like, oh, I get it, yes. Because really, I guess that is how he's the heart of the movie, right? He found his place where he belongs, and that's really what all these people are doing. You know, Wonder Woman, The Flash, Aquaman, they're all finding their place where they belong, and they belong as part of this team that's meant to save the world. They're better together, right? And so, really cool scene. I don't know. These are things that I wish were in the Justice League one, but instead we got barely anything from Cyborg in the other one. Whereas in this one, there's so much depth, and there's these, like, you know, just pulling at your heartstrings. You're like, oh, that's good. Especially because you know how this episode ends.
Yeah, I was about to say, yeah, you know, it makes a bit of a difference.
A bit of a difference, yeah. There's so much different in this. Really going through this slowly, looking at each scene, each part, one at a time. It's almost like it's allowed us to really compare the two movies more in depth and see how really editing and directing really affects a movie. Because you can have two different people working on the same movie that basically covers the same plot, yet one is dramatically better because of the depth and the characters and all that stuff. Like, isn't that interesting?
Yeah.
You know, it's like the same plot, you've got the same characters, but one of them has more time to breathe, it has more time to build up depth, it's got just a lot more time to make you care. Whereas the Justice League one just didn't have any of that. And so it really, it's kind of cool looking these back and forth. And so they get in there, and they kind of decide, okay, it's time to resurrect Superman, or give it our best shot.
Yeah.
It really seems like Batman is kind of operating just out of his guilt. Because everybody else is like, this doesn't seem like a great idea. Batman's like, do it, do it, do it. Yeah. And Cyborg, you know, because he's so powerful, he can control the mother box, and he's confident that he can. He's like, of course I can. And he can control the Kryptonian ship, and the Flash backs up, and he's like, okay, I'm going to go. And he's like, okay, I'm going to count down. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. And then, right before he says go, he activates the mother box, and he has this vision. And he sees Wonder Woman dead. He sees Darkseid sitting on a throne. Then he sees Darkseid underwater stabbing, or really just impaling Aquaman all the way through. And then you see Darkseid's Omega beams. Like, did you see that? Those are kind of cool. It's like his laser vision, but like he can control where it goes. It's actually really neat. And so you get to see that. And then what else do you see? You see Superman in his black suit, and he's holding a dead body, a charred body, while Darkseid stands behind him and puts his hand on his shoulder.
It's probably Batman.
It's either Batman or possibly Lois Lane.
That's true. It could be Lois Lane too.
Yes. Originally, the more I've looked into it and more I've seen other people's reactions and stuff, I think it was supposed to be Lois Lane here, because I think it's basically Darkseid is trying to make Superman work for him, and Lois is the key.
That's
so
true.
Lois is the key to all this stuff.
He didn't kill Superman. He just...
Yeah, exactly. But originally when I saw it, I thought it was Batman, because there's this famous comic where Superman is holding, I think it's for Final Crisis, I believe. It's a comic where Superman is holding the charred body of Batman.
Oh, really?
And so that's what I thought it was a reference to. And it could still be a reference to it, but it's just supposed to be Lois Lane rather than Batman, I think.
Okay.
And then you have another shot where you see a dead Green Lantern. I don't know which one it is. I don't know about the Green Lanterns that much. And then you see this dead Green Lantern sprawled out in like the destroyed Hall of Justice. You know, it's like where the Justice League people meet, because you see like there's a Justice League sign and it's broken.
Mm-hmm.
And then Superman's floating there with the cowl of Batman. And in the background you have like the Darkseid Omega symbol and stuff. Whoo! Yeah, Cyborg sees all this stuff. And what did you think about that vision?
I didn't actually know what was going on until about halfway through it, because I saw the Wonder Woman. I didn't know that was Wonder Woman.
Oh,
but I was like, because I was confused as to what was going on, and then I realized, once you realize it's like basically like an apocalyptic vision. Yeah. Then you realize that's what's going on.
Well, I think they purposely try to throw you off, because he's doing 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and the Mother Box activates, and then you just see it zooms out to the world. And you see this explosion, then like it just ripples around the world. You're like, did he just destroy the world? And then like all this stuff happens. You're like, what's going on? And then there's like this brief moment where it cuts back to him like standing there, and his like eyes are closed. You realize, oh, this is a vision. And then it goes back to that other stuff. So I remember when I was watching, I was like, what the heck? I mean, you probably just saw it in the reactions at the beginning of this video, but I thought that was crazy. And then he doesn't yell go, right? He counted down, and he doesn't yell go. He yells no! But the Flash is like, go? It's like, ugh. Probably should have said, like, don't do it or something. Something different that didn't sound so similar. So the Flash takes off. He starts running. And it's very similar to the Justice League cut. You know, his running form is still absolute crap. It's terrible. But then he dives. And he did mention this a little bit, like a few seconds ago, whenever they were like, we don't have enough charge. He said, I might be able to run and touch it. But whenever I go too fast, sometimes weird things happen with time, and it kind of goes against my rule, but I can try. And so whenever he dives, you actually get to see like time reversing, right? The Mother Box, it was in the goop, and then it comes back out. And then like the photo, it was in the goop, and then it came back out. And you're like, whoa! Like you see this guy once again, he is powerful. This is like a little thing where they could have honestly left this in the Justice League one, because it was what, like an extra like 3 seconds, extra 4 seconds.
Yeah.
They could have easily left it in there to elevate the Flash, but they took it out.
I just realized too that he said no, and then he went, but then when he like the time went back to normal, Cyborg said no again.
Yeah, he's like no.
Imagine being everybody, and he's like in the middle saying no, and he already did it.
Yeah.
He jumped the gun early.
Yeah, that's funny. He was like, we didn't even say, I was still on 1. That's funny. I didn't actually catch that either. But yeah, so the Flash, he kind of reverses time, but then he touches the Mother Box. It works like a defibrillator. Superman, he like blasts out of there. And one thing that you see here is that Lois, this is explained more in this cut.
Yeah.
She, basically she had finally decided to move on. The last part ended with Martian Manhunter showing up to her and being like, hey, by the way, she didn't know it was Martian Manhunter. Yeah. She thought it was Martha. Martha! He shows up and he's like, hey, you need to go back to the land of the living. We need you. And so she finally wakes up and she's like, okay, I'm going to finally move on. And so she goes and gets coffee for one final time, goes and visits the monument for one final time, and you even see the look on her face where she's like, okay, I can move on. And then, of course, on the day she decides to move on, her boyfriend comes back to life. And it explains why she's there. Because in the Justice League one, Batman was using her as a contingency plan. And he's like, Alfred, bring in the big guns or whatever. And it was her. I'm like, so wait, you're telling me that Batman took an ordinary civilian and brought her out to use against this powerful alien being? That sounds highly irresponsible. Like, that is like a terrible thing. Like, no, 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 no. Well, in this one, that's not what Batman does. In this one, Lois Lane happens to be there, which is still very circumstantial.
They handled Batman a lot better in this scene.
Absolutely. Everything. He doesn't get slapped by Superman, which I've just got to say.
And then also prior context, they explained the reason why he can do this and not get melted.
Yes, yeah, like he's got the arm gauntlet stuff.
Yeah.
But yeah, that being said, Superman shows up and they have a fight, right? And the fight is very similar to the Justice League one, with a few notable differences.
Yeah, I still love that Flash part when he's going by Superman, but then even that they dragged out a little longer.
Yes,
which is nice. It showed the actual fighting and stuff.
Yeah, like because I don't remember exactly what happened in the Justice League one, but what he's talking about the scene where Superman, he's literally holding off the entire Justice League at the same time. He's holding off Wonder Woman, Cyborg, and Aquaman, all of them. And then the Flash, he's like, okay, my time to shine, and he starts running. And how you just saw this guy reverse time, right? You know how fast the Flash is. He's running, and then Superman's eyes just
dart over to him. Yeah.
Dart over to him. Man, I really enjoyed that in the Justice League one. Like, that was one of the few moments I did enjoy, and I was so glad that was a Zack Snyder thing, which you could tell by the shot that it was way too artistic to be a Joss Whedon thing.
Yeah, I feel like in the other one, he just like turned and like hit him or something like that, or
I think it was something like that. But in this one, like you mentioned, it's expanded, right? To where you actually see Superman like kind of chasing after him, just like swinging like wild haymakers. You kind of remember that Superman, he's not like a trained fighter. He's just like some farm boy who had a lot of powers, and so he's like, he's like Rocky Balboa out here just like swinging.
It's like interesting to think about how that fight would have looked.
Oh yeah. You mean to like the outside perspective? You mean like Aquaman and them just being like,
because
everything's getting destroyed?
That all would have happened like in the flash of a second, no pun intended. But
that's true. Yeah, I didn't even think about that. That's where we take the slow-mo for granted.
Yeah.
It'd be kind of funny to just like see it like Batman like running up and like. Whoa.
I mean, basically he would have let go of them, or did he let go or did he throw them?
He threw all of them. Like.
Okay, he threw them. So actually, that would have all happened before they would have had time to like see.
That's true. Like they just like got thrown. They look up and everything's just destroyed. They're like, okay, yeah. So these guys are moving fast. And once again, even though you see Superman and the Flash, they're kind of moving at the same speeds, but you get to see that the Flash is still faster because he's dodging all of Superman's stuff, and Superman isn't beating him because the Flash is the same speed as him. It's because the Flash doesn't know what to do. He's looking and he's like, oh, crud, I was kind of just banking on the fact that this guy wasn't that fast. And so he's just like dodging and he's like, I really have nothing to offer other than my speed.
I like that they did that because that's still, like they said, that shows that he's still faster than Superman, just even if it's only a little bit.
Yeah.
But the Justice League entirely underplayed that.
Yeah, well, in the Justice League one, you kind of feel like the rest of the league's unimportant. Because Superman shows up and he beats them all up and you're like, oh, okay, I guess they're not really needed. Whereas in this movie, you've already come to realize how powerful these guys are. And so all it does is it serves to elevate Superman even more. And you're like, oh, this guy's really powerful. But at the same time, it doesn't take away from how powerful they are because they're still super, super powerful. To me, it doesn't bother me as much. I also am a big Superman fan, obviously. So I like that he's that powerful. But you've still seen how powerful these other guys are. So it doesn't like take away from them. They've had their time to shine. They've had their time to show, wow, they're powerful. And also, if you think about it, they really don't want to harm him because they kind of need him. But in the fight, they're definitely trying to go all out. And it's also it serves to show how powerful Superman is. Like whenever he's headbutting Wonder Woman in this movie, it's a lot more impactful than it was in Justice League. Because in the Justice League one, Wonder Woman hasn't done a bunch of stuff. You've seen how powerful Wonder Woman is in this movie, and you're like, oh wow. Whenever the Flash is running to tackle him and Superman just steps out of the way and pushes him into Aquaman, you're like, oh my gosh, this dude is crazy powerful. And then you get to the scene you were talking about where finally he gets to Batman. He doesn't do that cringy dude or anything like that. I don't know if he did in the other one. Yeah, he just picks up Batman's D&D, which it's called Batman. Batman said that. But
didn't Batman also
yes. Yeah, he makes like this dumb joke. He's like on the road, like, definitely. Like that just doesn't feel like Batman. Whereas in this one, Superman just comes up to him. He doesn't slap him either, right? Because he did that in the other one. He just slaps Batman.
Yeah.
Like a backhand. I was like, wow, that's kind of insulting to Batman's character. And I'm not even a huge Batman fan, but...
Yeah. I mean, Batman pretty much knew he wasn't going to actually have a chance against him, so he just kind of stood there.
Yeah, he literally just stood there, and then Superman blasted him, and he was using his, like, arm gauntlets to deflect it. But he also looked like he was like, oh, I'm probably about to die. And then Lois Lane just happens to show up. Not because he threw her into the fight like in Justice League, but because she happened to be there. Yeah. And then you get to see like Clark, his kind of look of recognition. He's like, oh, okay, I see what happened. So they fly off. And then the final part of this whole episode, whatever we're calling it, chapter.
Oh yeah, this part was a lot more fleshed out.
A lot more fleshed out. Steppenwolf shows up to retrieve the third mother box. And I don't know exactly the timestamp for when this happened. In the other one, I would imagine it's probably around an hour 10, an hour 20 minutes.
Probably.
Because there had to be the whole climax of the movie. We're 2 hours and 50 minutes into this one, right? We're already 50 minutes past the total runtime of Justice League. He finally gets the third mother box. But this is so much more fleshed out.
The other one, they just Superman calmed down, and then all of a sudden they just look over, and the mother box is basically just gone.
Yeah, they look over, the boom tube comes down, Steppenwolf, he just disappears. They're like, oh no, he got the mother box. And they don't even seem to care that much. I was like, guys, y'all needed that. Like, more than y'all needed Superman, y'all needed to protect that box.
Yeah, well, literally, the whole thing was, right before that, the whole Vision thing kind of helps.
Exactly.
Puts into perspective, if they get the third mother box, might very well be their reality.
Yeah.
And then he gets the third mother box, and then that Vision plays back in your head, and you're like,
uh-oh.
Oh, there's no going back now. This is, it's
exactly.
it's like the night, it's like at the garden, or like when Judas goes, it's.
Oh yeah, biblical reference. I get it. Yeah.
There's no going back.
Yeah, the hour has come.
The hour has come. This has got to end quickly.
Yes, that's true. But yeah, so they show up, and Steppenwolf shows up. And you see that he knew where the mother box was. He walks up to the car, and it's not there. And so he just starts, plowing through the place. And it turns out that Silas, Victor's dad, took the mother box, and he took it to the superheating gun thing. You don't know what he's doing quite at that moment, no. Right? He just runs in there, and as Steppenwolf comes in, and Cyborg comes to, try to protect him, he closes the vault, which I guess is just like a glass vault. I don't really know.
Probably something special, but yeah.
Yeah. And he superheats the thing. And once again, they mentioned this earlier in one of the earlier episodes. I think I mentioned it to you.
Yeah, we talked because the doctor,
Ryan Choi.
Yeah. Okay, I don't remember his name.
Yeah.
He was showing it to him, which is it's like the arm guard thing. It's important context.
Yes, because he says you're looking at the hottest thing on Earth, and that's whenever Ryan Choi is like, "This is what I also told my prom date." But that's why it stuck out to me, right? Because they put this in there, so it wasn't just like some random thing. They told you ahead of time, so whenever you saw it, you're like, oh, that's what that is. And so he goes in there, and he basically sacrifices himself in order to let the Justice League be able to track the mother box. So he didn't even know, he didn't know all this stuff about Steppenwolf, other than Steppenwolf, he knew Steppenwolf was trying to track it because Steppenwolf had kidnapped him earlier. But he picked up on some of this stuff, right? And so he knew they're going to need to know where this is at, and so he sacrifices himself in order for this to be accomplished. And that's pretty important. Once again, Cyborg being the heart of the movie, you don't have his dad dying in the Justice League one. That's not a plot point. That's not in there at all. So what do you think about his dad dying?
It's definitely a very, very important part of overall his Cyborg's development. I mean, when you look at his entire life and development in the movie, that goes towards him his dad dying kind of helps serve to point him towards his ultimate goal.
Yeah. As somebody whose dad died less than a year ago, I can tell you a parent's death really does affect how you view life and what your goals are. And it really kind of just shapes it really grounds you to reality, and you realize, okay, I got to do what's important.
Yeah.
And yeah, that's a big deal. And I remember that's actually something I think they showed his death in one of the trailers for the movie. And
really?
Yeah, because Zack Snyder to this day, he still has not seen the Justice League version of the movie.
Really?
Yeah, he still hasn't seen it. So for all he knew, that was included in there. But I remember seeing that, and you're like, oh wow, there's gonna be a lot more in this movie, because you realize that was not even his character was barely even in the Justice League one.
Yeah.
So in order for his death to be impactful at all, that means he's got to have a character arc, and so you already knew this is gonna be a different movie. And so that's basically what happens in this this part, right? They resurrect Superman. They have a fight. And eventually they realize, okay, his dad, Cyborg's dad, sacrificed himself in order for them to be able to track down the third mother box, which is going to result in part 6, wherein they track it down and they go have their final fight with Steppenwolf. And maybe not, Superman will show up. And that means it is time for my theological analysis. Because if you've been watching these with us, at the end of each of these parts, I've been giving a little theological insider analysis of the movie, mainly because that's how I process things. Whenever I watch movies or something, I immediately try to relate it to the Bible, even if it's not a Christian show. I want to try to see how things can point us to Jesus, even if they're not Christian.
Which they almost always can.
They almost always can, because the thing is, the Christian story is a story, right? It's a story, and it happens to be a true story. C.S. Lewis would talk about it as the true myth, right? It is the reason why the Christian story is so appealing is because it takes all the other stories that we like and it grounds them in reality. And you realize, wow, this is the true myth. Like, this is all the stuff we like in other stories, boom. So it makes sense that things that appeal to audiences should have layers of truth in them that can kind of point us towards Christ. And so, real quick, I'm going to recap what I've talked about in the other parts. In part 1, I talked about how that one was basically about grief and the loss of hope, right? Superman has died. People are missing him. That's kind of like Dark Saturday, the day after Jesus died, right? Everybody's missing him. They realize they need him. Part 2, that was history and the threat of evil. That's where we get the Age of Heroes, and we get to see how in the past people waged war against this evil foe, and they ran him off, but they didn't totally defeat him. I compared that to how when you look at the Old Testament, you see all these like heroes of the faith trying to take on sin, and some of them overcome it to an extent, but never to the point of absolution, right? They don't defeat sin. They just might do a little bit better than others, right? And so Jesus, he shows up and he actually defeats sin, right? So that's part 2. Part 3 is conversion and moving on. This is where we get some backstories of people, and eventually we get the team learning who they're going to be, right? You have Cyborg transforming over this one, going from one person to another. I think Cyborg, Aquaman, and the Flash. We get to see them, by the end, realizing they need to be part of a team. And so this is kind of the conversion, like whenever you come to Christ, you realize, okay, I've learned that I've got this inner hole inside of me, like part 1. Part 2, I looked into history and realized, okay, this is how other people have failed to satisfy that gaping hole. Part 3 is the conversion thing, where you realize, okay, here's where my future hope's going to be at, together in community. Part 4, unity and mission. This is whenever the team got together, they realized we have to find something to place our hope in. This is what we're going to do to overcome evil, right? This is what the church gets together to do. We're unified in Christ with a mission to share him with the world. And that leads to part 5, which I am going to say, that's this part. Part 5 is about resurrection and faith. Because if you know anything about the Christian faith, you know that Christianity is a faith that is rooted in the resurrection of Christ. If the resurrection truly happened, that means that Christianity is true, and you should believe it.
And that means everything.
Exactly. If the resurrection did not happen, that means that Christianity is false, and you should not believe it. Right?
We're the people who are the most pitiable.
Exactly. Yeah. That's 1 Corinthians.
Yep.
Right? So everything about our faith hinges upon the resurrection of Jesus Christ. If he came back to life, that means everything he said was true. We need to, regardless of what we think about what he said, we need to submit ourselves to him, because what he said is true. He is God. We need to answer to him. If it didn't happen, it doesn't matter. That's what we have here with Superman, right? Batman has that quote, which I quoted earlier, Alfred, this time I'm operating strictly on faith, not on reason. The difference about the Christian faith is that it's not an unreasonable faith. We have good reason to place our faith in Jesus Christ. Batman, he was kind of blindly hoping that this would resurrect Superman. We have good reason to believe that Jesus. We have good reason to believe that the true Superman, that Jesus Christ, he came back to life. There's books written on it. You can go look into it. You can just go read the Bible, and you have good reason to believe Superman came back. And I wrote 3 different things here that really made me think about the parallels between Superman's resurrection and Jesus' resurrection. First off, Superman is the source of their hope. Right? Superman, the S symbol, it literally means hope. Oh, I forgot. I'm literally wearing it. Oh, that's funny. Okay. It literally means hope. And Jesus, if you go read the New Testament, he is our living hope. We place our hope in him. If he didn't come back to life, we have no future hope, because that means there is no resurrection from the dead for us either, right? So we place our hope in him. He is our hope. Secondly, and also, if Superman doesn't come back to life, they have no chance against going against Darkseid and overcoming evil. Second off, he is more powerful than all of them, right? You look into the Age of Heroes, you look at Wonder Woman and the Flash and stuff, they don't stand a chance against Darkseid. Even all of them together, they cannot overcome him by themselves. In the same way, we cannot overcome sin apart from Jesus Christ. They need Superman in order to overcome evil. We need Jesus in order to overcome sin. Third off, their future hope and survival hinges on him returning to them to lay judgment upon evil forces attacking the world. Right? The way that this part ends is that Superman, he leaves. The way that the Gospels end is that Superman comes back to life and then he leaves. And in the 2,000 years since then, we have been waiting for the day when Jesus returns to lay judgment and put an end to all evil and issue in the final eschatological kingdom of God. That's basically where we're at in this movie. Superman, he came back to life, he left. Obviously, Jesus, when he came back to life, was not evil and punching people. It's not going to be a perfect parallel. But you do still have the same kind of concept, right? Their hope hinges upon him coming back. Our hope does not only hinge on the resurrection of Jesus. The resurrection tells us that what Jesus said is true, and Jesus said he's coming back. So our hope hinges on him coming back to life in the first place, and him coming back to us in the future. In the same way, their hope hinged firstly on Superman coming back to life, and secondly on him coming back and helping them defeat evil. Boom! There's my theological analysis of part 5. What'd you think?
Awesome.
Awesome. Nice. Do you have anything else you want to say about part 5?
No, I just like the way they handled it in general. Like, I like the couple of the scenes that were much more fleshed out. For some reason, Steppenwolf seemed like he almost looked different in the last scene with him. I don't know why. He seemed more like alien-like, even though his armor looks like that anyways, but...
I could kind of see that. It could be maybe just because of his surroundings, like where he was at, because whenever he, showed up, I kind of got the same feeling whenever he was, whenever the dad was about to kill himself, and Steppenwolf, stepped out of, the smoke. Yeah. Something about it, seemed more alien-like to me.
That or maybe because of the fact that he's bigger than a lot of the corridors and stuff, he had a more creeping type of gait.
Yeah, that's interesting.
So it could just be that.
Yeah, I subconsciously noticed that.
Because, he's, all prickly and, shiny and stuff, and so, it made me think of, aliens, even though I guess he kind of is an alien on Earth.
Yeah,
but,
that's true.
I don't know. Something seemed different about him in this part.
But no matter what, he's better than the Justice League version.
Yeah.
Jeez Louise.
It looked like he just had a spray paint Halloween mask on or something.
So bad. It looked terrible.
I promised him Steppenwolf. I'm not like Batman over there. I'm not just a person in a costume.
He's a costume. We were talking about that too. It seems like Batman. He looks so out of place. Batman, he's more of a creature of the night, and so whenever he's just walking around in the daylight, he just looks kind of like a cosplayer. Whereas all the other ones you can take seriously. Whereas Batman walking around in the daylight, you're kind of like, you're not from around here, are you? He's like, no, I'm from Gotham. I dwell in the darkness.
I should be asleep right now.
Exactly. Yeah, so if you don't have anything else to say, I guess we can sign off. This has been a bit of a longer video, but...
Oh, geez, yeah.
Yeah, but that's just because I got stuff to say, right? But if you like this video, please let us know. If you didn't, I guess you can also let us know that as well, but we'll be sad. Thanks. But also subscribe to the channel, comment below, let us know what you liked about this section of Justice League. And tell us which part is your favorite, I guess. That could be the question for today. Do you have anything else to say?
I'm good.
All right, sounds good. Well, I'm David.
And I'm Sean.
And this has been Let's Be Honest About Movies. We will see you later. Bye!